Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some really fun spice in the Sinnoh Cup, Hyper Beam BIBAREL. With the meta currently overrun with ghost types, BIBAREL has quite a lot of play, and with Hyper Beam, it is a devastating closer, able to do massive damage even when resisted. For the team, we are running Drifblim on the lead as our anti-fighter, with Double Normal in the back, Munchlax Safe Swap, and BIBAREL as our closer. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's take a look at Hyper Beam BIBAREL in action in the Sinnoh Cup. Picking up a slightly negative lead in the first match, Drifblim into Empoleon. We save switch Munchlax to check for a fighter, and instead we actually draw out Froslass. Froslass, of course, has taken super effective damage from licks, and is definitely not a counter to Munchlax by any means, so that has me thinking that this could be the Empoleon double ghost line with Drifblim in the back that has been absolutely everywhere in Sinnoh Cup. And if it is, now that we've baited out the Froslass, honestly, I'm not too worried about switch advantage, so I'm more than willing to let the Munchlax go down and instead get a nice energy lead on BIBAREL. Avalanche would do a solid chunk of damage, so I do commit the shield. They go for the Shadow Ball for some reason. That's double resisted. You definitely do want to go for Avalanche, as it will do quite a bit more damage. Back in comes the Empoleon, and we are going for the beam. Hyper Fang doesn't do a whole lot of damage in this matchup, but if they don't respect the beam, this is going to be doing monster damage. Going for the Hyper Beam, do they respect it? They do not, almost one-shotting the Empoleon with resisted damage. We bring on our own Drifblim, the opponent brings in their Drifblim, and since we have an energy lead, we are going to be able to win the match, as we're able to debuff them before they're able to debuff us. They go for the Icy Wind, we commit the shield, and with the energy lead, we are going to be able to get to that second Icy Wind. This will not KO, but will get them quite low, and since they are double debuffed, we can definitely tank Icy Wind number 2. Not worried about that whatsoever, and we're actually able to Hex down, and we leave with an Icy Wind loaded, and that's going to be able to take out the very low HP Empoleon. After the game decides to lag for just a little bit, we're able to take them out, and that's a good game. Hopping to the next match, leading Drifblim into another Empoleon. Same game plan as last time, we are going to save switch into Munchlax, but this time the Empoleon is not switching out, and they're going for a Hydro Cannon. Hopefully this means they're weak to normal in the back, so BIBAREL will shine. They land the Hydro Cannon, and they bring in Drifblim. So it's looking like the same team as last game, and honestly, bringing in Drifblim here is incredibly smart, because my Munchlax is loaded on energy, but I'm stuck only throwing double resisted moves, so a very effective tactic to neutralize all that energy that I had built up. At this point, I don't really view it as worth it for fighting for switch, so I let it go. We're able to live the Icy Wind on 1 HP and get to one final Body Slam. We land the Body Slam, and now I aggressive swap into BIBAREL, trying to snipe, but unfortunately they're able to reach another Icy Wind. Icy Wind will debuff us, and now they bring back in Empoleon. I would really like to Hyper Beam here, but with 2 shields up, they may honestly shield it, and that's a lot of energy. So I'm going to build up a decent amount of energy, and hopefully we are going to be able to successfully shield bait. As we build up a ton of energy, we're going for the Surf, and we do get the shield, which is very nice. And now I throw just before they reach their next move in the hopes of triggering an offset CMP tie. It lands, and they throw the move. That's absolutely huge. I am definitely okay with that. As we go down, we bring in Drifblim to try and farm down, and the final Pokemon is Froslass. Unfortunately, this is not looking good, as we don't have enough of an energy lead, and Drifblim loses CMP to Froslass. This is going to be very close, as unfortunately, when I reach the Shadow Ball, they're going to reach the next Avalanche, so I'm going to need to catch to win the game. Throw 2 hexes, switch, and we're able to catch onto the 1 HP Munchlax. We saved the Munchlax for later, coming back clutch. We bring back in the Drifblim. Drifblim is going to be going for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball takes them out. They still have the very low health Drifblim. We hex down the 1 HP Empoleon. We hex that down as well, and that is a good game. Picking up a terrible lead in the next match, Drifblim into Bastiodon. We save switch into Munchlax, and the opponent responds with a Togekiss. Now, unfortunately, this is a matchup where if the opponent wants to, they can double shield and maintain switch, so my only hope of flipping switch here is basically if my opponent gives it to me. We're able to get to a second Body Slam, but the opponent decides to shield. So at this point, I'm realizing I'm probably not going to be able to win switch, so instead, I'm just going to take my shield advantage. So we are going to let that go. Unfortunately, we just cannot get to that third body slam. But from here, they're a decent ways off of their next charge move, so I should be able to get a nice farm with Drifblim, and Drifblim is almost able to leave with a Shadow Ball. Back in comes Bastiodon. We are going to go for the Shadow Ball. This will do some solid chip damage, and then it's BIBAREL time. We bring in BIBAREL, and their final Pokemon is a Drifblim. The opponent blind swapped, and BIBAREL is an absolute core breaker for this team once Togekiss is gone. They will shield up the first Surf as they're going to be going straight Icy Wind, so the future ones will do less. But Icy Wind does such little damage that honestly, I don't have to shield the first one or even the second one. We are going for Surf number 2. Surf number 2 does get them low, but unfortunately they will be able to debuff me again. I'm really hoping I will be able to farm down before they reach a third. Can we farm down? We are able to. I'm double debuffed, so I instantly switch into Drifblim to clear the debuff, and Bastiodon throws a move. And at this point, I haven't gotten to Hyper Beam yet in this match, and my goal is to land as many Hyper Beams as possible. So we shield up here, we're going for the Shadow Ball to get it low, and then once BIBAREL comes back in, we're going to try and get to the Hyper Beam. This is going to be very close. BIBAREL able to reach the Hyper Beam. Even though a Surf would have taken it out, I like landing Hyper Beams. We're able to Hyper Beam the Bastiodon, and that is a good game. Hopping to the next match and picking up yet another Empoleon lead. We are going to save switch into Munchlax yet again. The Empoleon is staying in to throw the Hydro Cannon, so hopefully this again means that normal types have a lot of play versus their backline. I am going to overfarm and go for the bait, and the opponent makes a very nice catch as they're able to catch my Body Slam bait onto the Drifblim. So again, I was able to farm up a ton of energy, but this opponent is able to effectively neutralize it by switching in their own Drifblim. Even though all moves are double resisted here, I have the energy, I may as well throw it, as these licks are really starting to add up. We are going for yet another Body Slam, gets them to below a quarter health, and they finally decide to throw, recognizing that hexing down a normal type is a very difficult endeavor. I'm going to bring in BIBAREL here as I don't have to shield, and I really want to try and keep even shields for the end game. They go for the Icy Wind, we're able to farm down, and we'll have to see, does Empoleon come back in, or do we see the third? It is the third, it's Cresselia, and I'm going to switch in Drifblim, as I do need to reset the debuff. Unfortunately, since the Cresselia had a slight energy lead, they're able to reach the Moonblast. I am going to shield this up. In comes Empoleon, and I'm going straight for the Shadow Ball, hoping against hope that they think I'm baiting, but they do shield. This is tough, as Empoleon is able to reach a charge move, so I am honestly probably going to get outpaced. I think my only chance is maybe if I'm able to successfully bait with the Icy Wind. We're hoping for the shield. We do get the shield, and now it's a race. Can we get to the Shadow Ball? We lose CMP. Absolutely tragic. We're not able to get there. Hydro Cannon takes us out. And here, unfortunately, my recording software went a little weird, but basically I was able to farm down. In comes the Cresselia, and we're going for the Hyper Beam. Hyper Beam does not KO. Can we get to the move? Come on, BIBAREL, and we fall a single turn short. They're able to reach the Grass Knot. That takes out the BIBAREL, and that is a good game. So an absolutely heartbreaking defeat. Picking up a fantastic lead in the next match in Gastrodon, but when the opponent save switches Purugly, honestly, I have no idea what to do. I brought in Munchlax just because, at the very least, I won't take super effective damage from Thunder like I would on Drifblim or BIBAREL, but honestly, this matchup is still not great as they are double resisting my licks. I'm able to reach a second Body Slam, but honestly, this does not KO, and it's pretty hard to lick down a normal type, and Purugly gets to a second move. I'm hoping that I can tank this and be able to reach a third Body Slam, but unfortunately, I get farmed down, and losing Switch is a very scary idea in this game, because if they're that weak to a Drifblim lead, they probably have a hard punish in the back. We're able to swap on the 5th Mud Slap and catch the Body Slam onto the Drifblim, and we'll have to see what their hard counter is. And it's a Bite Drapion. So this is not good at all. I will be able to lower their attack with the Icy Winds, but unfortunately, if they're running Bite, they're almost always running Fell Stinger, and they're going to be able to raise that attack back up. We're able to get to a second Icy Wind, we get the shield, and they throw a move. I'm fully expecting that this is a Fellstinger, so I do decide to no-shield it, and now they're only one-time debuffed. I bring back in Bibarel, and I'm going straight for the Surf. We are trying to get the final shield, which we do, and now we have 2 shields. Can we farm down? I think the win con is farm down and Hyper Beam the Gastrodon, so we are going to commit the shield. They are going for the Fellstinger, trying to ramp up their attacks. We are able to farm down. Can we get to the Hyper Beam? Yes, we can. We're able to reach the Hyper Beam versus Gastrodon. Is this enough damage? Absolutely. We are able to absolutely destroy the Gastrodon, and that is a good game. Another Empoleon lead in the next match means we are going to be safe switching into Munchlax. I believe this time the Empoleon actually decides to stay in and play it out, so we have gotten to see how quite a few different players with Empoleons like to play out this particular lead. I do often like to bait in this matchup, as Empoleons are highly motivated to shield, they get afraid of a potential bulldoze, and they empty their energy. Honestly, this works great for me. I'm more than happy to let that go, and then I'm going to go for a very aggressive farm down with Bibarel. I'm hoping that I only have to shield once and farm down, but it's going to be extremely close. They are at the first move, so I am going to be shielding up this Drill Peck, and the question is, can we farm down in 15 Water Guns? It's going to be very, very close. Yes, we are able to. That's absolutely huge. And they bring in Gastrodon. Gastrodon is not going to appreciate the Hyper Beam. Hyper Beam almost one-shots. We bring in Drifblim, and their final Pokemon is Frostlass. This is definitely not ideal for the Drifblim, but I am going to be going for the Icy Wind bait to get the shield, but also to lower their attack, so hopefully my Bibarel will be able to close in the endgame. I am going to let that go. Avalanche takes me out, and now it's all up to Bibarel to try and close the game. The opponent definitely should have overfarmed more in the Drifblim matchup, as since they didn't, they are not going to be able to reach 2 moves. Bibarel is going to be able to farm down here, and that is a good game after we farm down the Gastrodon as well. You love to see it. Hopping to the next match, leading into the Drifblim Mirror. I definitely want to swap out of this lead at some point, but before I do want to try and trade shields, as hopefully if I can get shields out of the way early, then I will be able to Hyper Beam in the end game. They shield my Icy Wind, I shield theirs, and then it is time for Munchlax. We bring in Munchlax, and the opponent brings in Lucario. Definitely a pretty poor matchup for Munchlax, but definitely good to bait it out, so Bibarel does not have to see it. The Lucario makes the correct play here, which is going for the power-up punch right away. Since they did that, I'm not going to be able to reach 2 body slams. As you see, I die just as I get the energy for the second one. Now, my goal here is, even though they do have a bit of an energy lead, I want to go for a very aggressive Hex down with Drifblim, and if we successfully shield the Shadow Ball here, I think we can. We do correctly shield the Shadow Ball, which is huge. Can we Hex down? Oh, I don't think we can. We go for the snipe with Bibarel, but they throw. The question is, did they panic throw the Shadow Ball? They did. That does basically no damage, and in comes Empoleon. Unfortunately, Empoleon will be able to reach a move before I'm able to get to the Hyper Beam, so I'm forced to go for the Surf. Surf still does some solid chip damage. Looks like the opponent might be committing to the farm down, but that is a mistake. Bibarel able to reach a second Surf. Surf almost takes them out, and the opponent is forced to throw. They are just shy of 2 moves, so I'm hopeful I will be able to Hex down. We're able to Hex down, and now they just have that tiny little bit of Lucario left, plus they have the Drifblim. So our Drifblim, having as much energy as it does, is going to be able to close strong. Shadow Ball takes out the Drifblim, and then we have the Icy Wind for the low HP Lucario. And that is a good game. Alright, and hopping into the final match, picking up a pretty roughly Drifblim into Frostlass, we safe switch into Munchlax, and we are met with Toxicroak. Definitely not what we want to see, but definitely good to bait it out, so hopefully Bibarel will be able to close in the endgame. They go for the Sludge Bomb, it barely does not KO, and here I definitely should have undercharged the Body Slam, so that way Drifblim would get more farm. The opponent actually lets me do some extra damage onto them to minimize the farm, so very nicely played by the opponent. I do wait my switch clock as long as I can, and then we hex down with Driftblim. Back in comes Frostlass. I'm going to build up to the Shadow Ball, and I'm going to bait. I'm fully expecting the shield here, and I want to try and conserve energy. We get the shield. In comes BIBAREL, and the final Pokemon is Lucario. This is very bad. We are Mon for Mon countered. I am going for the Surf, hoping for the no shield. We get the no shield, and suddenly, there is actually a chance. I'm going to let the power-up punch go. That does some pretty big damage, but hopefully they will not be able to farm me down. BIBAREL, unfortunately not quite able to reach a move, but suddenly I'm realizing that with 2 shields, I'm pretty sure that I can hex down. We are going to commit the shield, and then honestly, we're just going to double shield and fully farm down, and we should be able to overcome the fact that we were triple countered just by the fact that we were able to leverage shield advantage. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. So all in all, I had a ton of fun running this team. I did end up going positive with it, but honestly, the real victory for me was landing all of those Hyper Beams. A lot of people were not respecting the Hyper Beam from BIBAREL, and honestly, it cost them dearly. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And one last thing, we have finally released merch, and it's based off seeing the writing on the wall. We'll have a link in the description to our merch store. Definitely go check it out. And I will have the design on screen as well. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.